After 6 weeks of summer loving filled with romance, breakups,
you have been dumped,
and so many meme-worthy moments,
Mamacita.
Season 7 of Love Island USA, the reality TV phenomenon, came to a dramatic conclusion Sunday.
Oh, fudge. Where do I even begin with this absolute dumpster fire that was Love Island USA Season 7? Listen, I've been watching reality TV for years, and allegedly this season was one of the most toxic, chaotic messes I've ever witnessed. But wait, the real tea didn't start spilling until after the camera stopped rolling, and honey, what we're about to unpack is going to blow your mind. But here's where it gets interesting. While everyone was celebrating winners Amaya and Bryan taking home that $100,000 prize, the dumped Islanders were apparently sitting in their hotel rooms, ready to absolutely destroy some reputations. And listen to this, they didn't hold back when it came to calling out which couples they thought were completely staged for the cameras.
Amaya and Bryan, you've been thrust back into the real world, into a life you were not living before Love Island. Yeah. What has been the weirdest part of re-entering society?
I think it's the recognition now. Yeah. That's the biggest thing, because before we used to be able to walk down the street, nobody would know who we are. And now we walk down the street and it's, oh, can I get a picture?
Or here's what's really fascinating though. We're talking about Islanders who lived with these people 24/7, watched their every move, and saw what the cameras didn't capture. But here's the thing. When they start naming names and calling relationships fake, you know the tea's about to get nuclear. Get this though, we're also going to dive into Huda's absolutely heartbreaking post-finale interview, where she revealed childhood trauma so shocking that it completely explains her villa behavior. And trust me, after hearing her story, everything about her journey makes perfect sense. But here's where things get really spicy. Multiple dumped Islanders have been doing their post-villa interviews, and apparently they're not holding back about which connections felt genuine and which ones seemed calculated for the cameras.
I'm really excited for all these opportunities, and I can't wait to finally just like see everybody and kind of like give back in a way. I have so many plans coming up like that I want to do, and you know, things that I intend on doing in terms of like giving back. So I'm really excited.
Here's where it gets interesting though. Several contestants have hinted that some couples were more focused on making it to the finale than actually building real connections. When you're living with these people 24/7, you apparently pick up on when someone's playing the game versus when they're genuinely falling in love. Now get this, Islanders who got eliminated early have been particularly vocal about seeing through certain strategic moves. They've called out how some people would suddenly become more affectionate when they sensed they were at risk of being voted out. But wait, what's really fascinating is how the Casa Amor twist exposed who was really committed and who was just riding connections for safety.
The winners of Love Island USA 2025 are Amaya and Bryan!
Apparently, some Islanders used Casa Amor as an opportunity to jump ship to more popular partners, rather than testing their actual feelings. And here's the thing though. When you have a season where 3 of the 4 finale couples only got together in the final week, that raises some serious questions about authenticity versus strategy. The Islanders who witnessed this firsthand definitely have opinions about who was real and who wasn't. But wait, it gets worse. Apparently, Season 7 was an absolute disaster behind the scenes. And I'm not just talking about the usual villa drama. We're talking about a level of toxicity that made previous seasons look like Disney movies.
Love Island's Huda Mustafa is addressing claims the show's viewers called CPS on her. Speaking to Alex Cooper on the podcast, Call Her Daddy, Huda says,
"The craziest thing I've heard is that people called CPS on me."
Here's what's really interesting though. Multiple contestants were literally removed from the show. Not eliminated, removed. After their past social media posts resurfaced showing them using racial slurs. Sierra Ortega disappeared from the villa so suddenly that they just said she left for personal reasons. But apparently, everyone knew it was because her problematic past caught up with her. And listen to this. The fan behavior this season was reportedly more vicious than anything they'd seen before. We're talking about death threats sent to contestants' families, mass harassment campaigns, and allegedly even people calling child protection services on Huda while she was in the villa.
I feel like I was bullied a lot in the villa. Like, I really do. And I'm glad that other people saw it too, because it's like I really 100% thought that I was being bullied in the villa, and everyone's just like, we would never intentionally do things to hurt you, like blah blah blah, and like people are saying all these things to me, and I'm just like, that am I being crazy? Like, am I losing my mind here?
Like, are you so serious right now? Now, here's what's crazy. The producers apparently made some changes to classic challenges that completely altered the villa dynamics. The Casa Amor twist felt less like a relationship test and more like a cruel social experiment. But here's the thing, though. When your finale features a couple breaking up on their final date, you know something went seriously wrong with your casting. Now listen, this is where things get really heavy. And we need to talk about Huda's absolutely devastating Call Her Daddy interview that just dropped.
I was like, are you so serious right now? First of all, my daughter's dad was fully aware of what I was doing. He was fully okay with it. He signed consent. We had that conversation. We're fine. Me going on a show does not make me a bad person. You know how many mothers are, doing tours?
What she revealed about her childhood is so shocking that it completely reframes everything we witnessed in the villa. But wait until you hear what happened next. Huda opened up about growing up in what she described as an extremely abusive household. Her father was apparently physically violent toward her mother, and her siblings. She described hearing her father beating the sugar out of her mother through the walls, seeing her mom's broken glasses, and living in constant fear. Here's where it gets even more disturbing, though. Huda revealed that there were times she was left alone with her father, and she hinted that things happened that her family still doesn't believe to this day.
And as a person who grew up, always being the odd one out, it's like, wow, people see me. And it really made me feel validated.
That is the thing. You were so authentic. You had your highs and highs. You had some lows. We can all agree with that.
She said she would lock herself in the bathroom, terrified, listening for his footsteps and praying someone would come get her. But here's what's really heartbreaking. When Huda was in 4th grade, her mother finally escaped, packing everything while her father was at work. They moved into a tiny 2-bedroom apartment where her mother slept on an outdoor futon and worked 3 to 4 jobs just to survive. Huda cut contact with her father at 16 and hasn't spoken to him in 8 years. And listen to this. On top of the domestic violence, Huda was relentlessly bullied at school.
And then, coming out of the villa and seeing that I wasn't crazy. When I felt like someone was looking at me and making fun of me, I was right. When I felt like someone was talking about me, I was right. When I felt things shifting in a certain person, I was right. I realized I should have just trusted my intuition.
Kids called her terrorist slurs, excluded her from everything, and body shamed her so severely that she developed bulimia. She would chew food and spit it out just to taste it because she thought she wasn't skinny enough. But here's where everything clicks into place. When you understand Huda's background, her villa behavior makes complete sense. Her attachment style, her need for constant reassurance, her explosive reactions, it all stems from years of trauma and survival. Here's what's really interesting, though. When Chris started telling her to be quiet or not giving her the validation she needed, it probably triggered every single one of her trauma responses. She wasn't being crazy or controlling. She was responding from a place of deep psychological wounds. And get this, Huda actually disclosed all of this trauma to the Love Island casting team during her psychological evaluation. She was crying during the interview because, as she said, you really live it when you talk about it. So the producers knew about her background and still put her in situations that would inevitably trigger her. But listen to this part. When people in the villa and viewers at home started calling her crazy, it was probably like being back in that abusive household where nobody believed her truth. The parallel is absolutely heartbreaking when you think about it. Now, here's what's crazy. Despite everything she'd been through, Huda made it to the finale and showed incredible strength throughout the season. Her decision to break up with Chris wasn't dramatic, it was self-preservation. But wait, let's talk about the actual winners, because apparently Amaya and Bryan's victory was one of the few bright spots in this chaotic season. These two became America's sweethearts, and honestly, their love story was the real deal in a sea of allegedly fake connections. Here's where it gets interesting, though. Amaya entered as a bombshell on day 5 and immediately struggled to find genuine connections. The men in the villa supposedly gave her such a hard time for being emotional and outgoing that it became painful to watch. But then Casa Amor happened, and everything changed. Now, here's what's really fascinating. Bryan came in as a Casa Amor boy. Historically, those guys almost never win. But listen to this. He saw how the other Islanders were treating Amaya and immediately stepped up to defend her.
Money, but we also want to donate. That was a conversation we had before even thinking about winning any money, and she wants to do a Thanksgiving drive in New York and LA, and I want to donate to mental health awareness.
Yeah, one thing we bonded off is the fact that we love to leave a positive impact on communities, especially helping those who are in need.
That Stand on Business challenge moment where he spoke up for her, That's when America fell in love with this couple. But here's the thing though, they only officially coupled up in the final weeks, became exclusive on their final date, and still managed to win the entire season. That's either incredible chemistry or proof that the other couples were really that unconvincing. And get this, when Bryan got the envelope with the $100,000, he didn't even hesitate to split it with Amaya. In a season full of allegedly strategic players, that moment felt genuinely authentic. But listen to this absolutely wild finale moment. Chris and Huda made Love Island history by becoming the first couple to break up during their final date. And allegedly, the whole thing was even more awkward than it looked on TV. They're sitting at this romantic dinner setup in a pool of water with a live singer performing Moon River to create ambiance. But instead of romance, we got Huda telling Chris they should just be friends. The poor singer had to keep performing while this relationship imploded in real time. After the breakup, Huda apparently asked Chris if he was going to carry her out of the water, and he straight up said, "I'm not going to carry you." Like, sir, even if you're done with the relationship, maybe don't be publicly rude on national television. But wait until you hear this. Apparently, Chris spent his final night in the villa sleeping in soul ties, the single beds, instead of with his supposed partner. That pretty much tells you everything about how the relationship ended. And here's the kicker. This breakup happened while the other three couples were having fairy tale final dates with sailboat rides and romantic declarations. The contrast was absolutely stark. Apparently, the post-finale period has been just as chaotic as the season itself, with couples dropping like flies and tea being spilled left and right. But listen to this. Amaya and Bryan are allegedly still going strong, which honestly gives me hope for reality TV romance.
Love. Finally finding her match in newbie Bryan.
I'm so thankful to meet this person.
Their roller coaster romance, all part of the reason why Love Island has become must-see TV this summer.
They're already talking about meeting each other's families and planning their future together. Plus, they're using their prize money for charity work and mental health awareness, which is actually really sweet. Nick and Alandria, the fan favorite slow burn couple, are apparently still together too. Their friends to lovers storyline was one of the few genuine bright spots in this chaotic season. But get this, they revealed that Nick actually kissed Alandria during the blindfold challenge in week 1, which means their connection was brewing the entire time. But wait, the couples who got dumped right before the finale? Ace and Shelley are reportedly still together despite all the drama about them allegedly knowing each other before the show. They're dealing with long distance, but seem committed to making it work. And here's what's crazy. Even some of the earlier eliminated couples, like Taylor and Clark, are apparently still going strong. Meanwhile, the couples who made it further in the competition, well, that's where things get messy. Get this though. Multiple sources suggest that the toxic fan behavior actually influenced what happened in the villa. When contestants could see their social media followings and public perception through various challenges, it allegedly changed how they behaved. The decision to do more viewer votes instead of internal recouplings apparently created a completely different dynamic. Instead of Islanders making decisions based on genuine connections, they were supposedly playing to the cameras and public opinion. But listen to this part. The Casa Amor twist was allegedly so manipulative this season that it felt more like a psychological experiment than a dating show. Making Islanders couple up with bombshells instead of choosing to stay loyal completely changed the traditional dynamic. And here's the kicker. When your finale features more recently formed couples than long-term connections, you know something went wrong with the format. Not a single original day one couple made it to the finale, which is pretty much unheard of. But wait, because apparently the drama is far from over. The reunion show is scheduled for August 25th, and allegedly some Islanders are planning to, quote, clear the air with certain people. Translation, more tea is about to be spilled. Here's where it gets really interesting though. With all these allegations about staged relationships and strategic gameplay, the reunion could be absolute chaos. When you have dumped Islanders calling out current couples as fake, that's going to create some serious tension. Now here's what's crazy. Huda's decision to share her trauma story publicly has completely changed how people view her villa behavior. The same fans who were criticizing her are now sending support and understanding. Sometimes the truth really does set you free. Amaya has already signed with major talent agencies, which suggests her career is about to take off in a big way. When you win America's heart the way she did, the opportunities are endless. The fact that this season was so controversial might actually help some of these Islanders' careers. Nothing gets people talking like a good scandal, and these contestants are definitely being talked about. So there you have it. Love Island USA Season 7. allegedly one of the most toxic, dramatic, and controversial seasons in the franchise's history. But here's the thing though, sometimes the messiest seasons give us the most authentic moments. Huda's bravery in sharing her trauma story, Amaya and Bryan's genuine love connection, and even the dumped Islanders' willingness to spill tea about fake relationships. It all adds up to a season that was deeply flawed, but undeniably compelling. But wait until you see what happens at that reunion show. With all this drama still simmering and Islanders ready to call each other out, August 25th can't come soon enough. The real question now is, will future seasons learn from this chaos? Or will Love Island continue down this path of toxicity and manufactured drama? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Season 7 will be remembered for all the wrong reasons and all the right ones. And listen, at the end of the day, these are real people with real feelings navigating impossible situations under intense scrutiny. The fact that any authentic connections emerged from this dumpster fire is honestly miraculous. Stay tuned for more tea because something tells me this story is far from over. When Islanders start calling relationships staged and trauma stories emerge post-finale, you know the real drama is just beginning. The tea has been officially spilled, and apparently there's still more brewing. What do you think about these revelations? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more reality TV tea, because apparently this season that keeps on giving.